Hi everyone, this is Karine from L'Essentiel. I'm going to talk to you today about my experience with Reiki. The reason I want to talk to you about it is because I feel like we don't always know how Reiki or any type of energy can be felt. And I feel like my experience is a good example on how you can learn to feel energy even though you don't feel like you have the experience to have it done at all. For those who don't know, I've been working here at L'Essentiel since 2013, and I've used to be only in the back store working on the website because I used to be a web developer. I used to program on my free time. I still do today. However, at the time, it was my full-time job. So I would work here on part-time, so one day a week on the website with Monique directly, and we would have a lot of projects, but it was mostly all focused around the website. And at the time, one of the things that's like fundamentally of my identity at the time was that I was not an anxious person. Okay, you could not have told me, Karine, I think you're having anxiety right now. You know, do you want some help? And I would have been, no, this isn't me. I'm not anxious. What I would have said at the time would be like, you haven't met my brother. He's anxious. He barely can, go out of the house. He's afraid to meet new people. I'm not anxious at all. I don't see it at all. However, what I didn't know at the time was that I would deal with my anxiety like by overcompensating, by anxiously triple checking everything, stuff like that. But I didn't see it. For me, I was just being a bit of an overperformer, but that was just how my anxiety would come out. So at the time, about a year when I was working with Monique, she at some point tells me, Karine, maybe you should join the group to have your Reiki your Reiki tuning and Reiki teachings. This way you can, manage the energy as it comes through you and understand a little bit more on how this all works and also help you with your anxiety. However, again, I wasn't really feeling the anxiety part, but I was thinking, well, I don't really have anxiety. I'm fine. However, I'm not a very much of a intuitive person, right? At the time, I was, a programmer, so I was thinking of myself like more of a rational person and also a very concrete person, right? So like living in the moment. Again, I wasn't centered at all. I wasn't living in the moment, but that's what I thought. That's what I thought I was. That was my identity. I was like the rational girl, no intuition, and also not anxious, just a little bit over the top. So, that said, I was also a curious person, and that really got me in. I was like, you know what? I don't know anything about all of this, and I'm surrounded by people who, live it every day. Why not go? I'll go and I'll learn, and we'll see how it goes. And let me tell you, I've felt so much like an imposter in that class. At first, I thought, oh, everyone in here, are all at different levels. I'm sure I'm not the only one who doesn't think I can, have intuition the same way everyone does. And I wasn't the experience at all. Like everyone had experience. Like we would share in the class and they would like share about how they felt the energy before in different ways. And I was like, oh no, oh no, I'm the only one who doesn't. I'm not that type of person at all. Like I don't have any idea of how people are living all of these things. Again, I wasn't much of a centered person. I wasn't like in my body very often because also I have ADHD, so sometimes I'm just all over the place, mostly in the future. So even though I would say like, oh, I'm in the moment, I was like thinking, 3-4 steps ahead, and this isn't very good when you're trying to listen to your intuition because your intuition is in the moment. So if you're elsewhere in your mind, you're not gonna catch it. So that's normal. But at the time, I had no idea. So I was like, oh, okay. And I was feeling a little bit out of place, but I thought, you know what? Monique says everyone can learn. We all start at different places. I just happen to be in a group where everyone, is sensitive in some way and has sensibilities, and for that reason have a higher touch with their intuition. So I was like, okay, giving myself a little bit of, grace to learn. So at the time, it was Reiki 1 and 2, like in 2 days. And during the first day, during the initiation for Reiki 1, I again felt like I messed up. I felt like I wasn't doing what we were supposed to do in the right way, because again, at some point in the class, we would practice on someone. We were like 3 or 4 people all around the same person on a table, and we would practice, putting our hands and feeling the energy, and move around and try to feel like where the energy would lead us through the chakras. And also, chakras were new for me, so I was like having my hands over someone, and I had no idea what I was doing. I felt like this isn't, I don't know why I'm here. I have no idea. And the other thing, during the tuning itself, so before practice, we had like a tuning session, and because we had a bigger group, Monique had us all sit next to each other on like a row of chairs, and we would close our eyes, be in ourselves, like mentally, breathe in, breathe out, be relaxed. And there's like hands positions you have to do during the tuning. We would be doing that. However, one of my life experience, that's just something that just was true for my whole life until very recently actually, is that if I sit down and I close my eyes, I have a high risk of falling asleep. And that hasn't always been a problem. Like in school, good lord, okay, I would just zone out, fall asleep. That was an actual problem for me. So when Monique had us sit, I was a bit nervous, because I was like, okay, I'm not the first one who goes, in the tuning. She goes like one person at a time on the row. I'm like in the middle. I'm gonna try to not fall asleep. I was like very anxious about it. And then I had my eyes closed, I had my hand position, and then I'm feeling like I'm gonna fall asleep. I can feel it. I was fighting myself. I was like, no, Karine, please, no, don't fall asleep. And then at some point, I felt like the chair tilted. I don't know if you guys know what feeling I mean, but sometimes when I would fall asleep, like in my bed, I feel like the chair tilts and it wakes me up. And I think a few people, not a few people, like when I talk about the experience with people, sometimes people know what I mean. So I felt that like the chair was tilting, the chair was on. It was like a normal, foldable chair. So it got to me, and Monique was at my point when that happened. So I kind of woke up. I was like in between sleep and not sleep, of course. And I was like, oh no, okay. And then I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then I was trying to go back to my my thing, so I wouldn't mess up with the tuning. But I felt like I messed up. But I was like, maybe it's fine, but at the same time, I'm like, I wasn't really focused. I wasn't in the present moment. I fell asleep. I woke up. I got panicked. So when I'm practicing, I'm like, I definitely messed up. I screwed everything. This didn't work. I don't even feel the energy. I don't know what I'm doing. However, something really important was happening at the same time. While I was like standing up, doing my hands and trying to focus, but I couldn't make myself focus on like being in the present, something happened. It was something that at the time wasn't very frequent. I didn't feel that a lot, but it wasn't the first time I felt it. It's like I had like a knot at the heart, like at the level of my heart in my back. But it was like a big knot. And now I realize those happened when I had like anxiety, like really, really bad anxiety, like borderline panic. But that didn't happen a lot, like very often by that time in my life. But it wasn't, like I said, my first experience. But then it starts happening, and it's like forcing me to pay attention to my body. Like all the thoughts vanished, and I'm like, oh my God, my back hurts so much. What's going on? Why is my heart hurting? And if you know anything about paranoia, I start thinking, oh my God, my heart is a problem. I'm gonna, be sick or something. At that moment, I don't really realize it, but Monique decides suddenly, like just out of the blue again, probably she had her own intuition telling her to do it, but she just rings one of the crystal bowls in the room. And I will always remember this, because at that moment, I felt the knot, at the level of my heart and my back. I felt it melt. And the melting process, I felt it all through my spine, and it was very warm. And I was like, oh my God, this feels amazing. what is going on? And that was like the first time that I was present in something like that happening in my body, where energy of like sound made me feel good, like made the pain in my body melt literally away. And I was like, oh my god, I don't think I've ever felt that. Again, slight parenthesis, I probably have felt that before, I just wasn't present to realize it. But at the moment, I was like forced to be in the moment present, because the way my body hurt kept me centered in a way. Even though it's not very comfortable, it kept me listening to the body, because I couldn't pay attention to anything else. My body hurt. And then when that happened all the way down my feet, when the melt, of the energy went down my feet, I realized, okay, I actually can feel the energy move in my body. I just wasn't really paying attention until now. And now that I just felt a bowl of all things move the energy inside, I know it's possible for me. So I just have to, pay more attention and take notes of these things. So from then on, of course, I've been doing Reiki since 2014. I actually did my initiation a second time because I thought I had not done it right, but that's going to be a story for another day. And yeah, so today, the experience, I just wanted to tell about how the way, you receive your messages intuitively differ from person to person. I'm going to give you another example of how I would perceive others and compare myself and realize, oh, maybe it's not for me. At the time, I used to work with Nathalie, and Nathalie would often have conversation with clients, and she would sometimes say something like, oh yeah, what you just said, I just had like goosebumps all over me. For me, that confirms it. Or vice versa, the client would say that to her. And I always looked at this like, goosebumps? I've never had goosebumps to confirm whatever was going on. That's not part of my experience. How? What? This isn't me. Like, I don't know. Like, this is cool. I think it's very interesting. It's very nice. But like this, it can't be me. So at the time, I would compare myself to other experience like this and be like, well, I can't be like a feeling person of the energy, because this is how people who feel the energy feels it. But now I realized, oh, I just feel it differently. And also, I'm not very centered, right? With all my distraction, all my thoughts all over the place in the future, I wasn't very centered. Therefore, it's not very surprising that I didn't notice before, right? So now, from then on, I was just in the, as much as I could, of course. Like, it wasn't like from, like, it wasn't all of a sudden I was able to be in the center. In my center, of course, I had to practice. But sometimes what would happen, I would have like an experience, and maybe like 2 or 3 days later, it would click and be like, oh my god, this was my intuition. 2 or 3 days later, which was good, because at the time, it was like never. I wouldn't even consider it. But when I started realizing, okay, this can happen to me. It's not just my identity of no, it's not me. I can't be feeling these things. It can. However, I have to realize I haven't practiced it. I don't know how it's supposed to look like. So I have to pay attention to the changes, to how it makes me feel. And sometimes it would come as a delay. A few days later, I would have this information. So this is basically how I started doing Reiki, of course, like over 12 years ago. But there's more. Over the period to 2014 to 2017, there's a lot of experiences I had with Reiki that I think are interesting. But again, it's going to be in another video. So this was Karine from L'Essentiel. And if you need to contact us, you can call us to 819-567-2643. You can also use that number to call or text the WhatsApp account. And you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, where these links will be available under our website, www.l'essence-ciel.com. The link is in the video. Please don't hesitate if you have any questions about anything. We will do our best to answer your questions. On this, I'll say see you next time, and I'll have more Reiki and energy stories to tell you about my own life experience. Thank you very much.